This time on CarCraft Video, we're back with part 3 of our Foxbody versus 3rd Gen Camaro build. After installing the new engine, transmission, and suspension and brakes, our Mustang is in the final stages of the build before we send it off to the paint shop. Now we need to start focusing on our 3rd Gen Camaro project. We have a lot to do and not a lot of time to get it done.
So as you can see, we're back, but this is not the Mustang. The Mustang has moved 18 feet in that direction. We have accidentally test fired it when we were testing the starter. It runs. It made us very aware of that fact. Since then, we've been working on, adding fluids to it, doing the final touches, doing the dash, wiring everything that needed to be wired internally, AC and stuff like that. So, yesterday, we brought the Camaro in. It got back from paint. It's been sitting on the trailer in my field out back for a little while. So excuse it for being a little dusty, but it's been in here for about 12 hours. In that time, these gentlemen over here have taken out the engine, transmission, front K-member, rear end, all the suspension, the seats from the interior. I think all we have left to do is remove the carpet from when we weld in the cross member for the rear torque arm. We're getting started on all of our speed tech stuff. That took a little bit to get ready to really start measuring and cutting so we can weld everything in. It's a pretty intense kit. It is turning this Camaro into an absolute race car. Now, if you read the directions, they tell you to put it on jack stands and get everything level. That's okay, but in our current situation, sometimes we need to pull cars in at night, and we're in a little bit of a rainy season right now. So we've set it on our bottom lock. We've done all of our measurements from the 6 datum points that they've provided for us to measure to and the differences in those across the car. And we've leveled the car at the bottom lock, which means no matter what we do, when we come back down to bottom lock, we can check our datum points, make sure we're still square, and move on with our project the next day. So we're gonna get started on this. I think everybody's excited, especially Noah, to cut the front end of this thing out.
Very nice. Very, very similar. Like,
Oh yeah.
laser cut.
Money, dude.
All right, so what we have here is we're running the SpeedTech Performance suspension, and they make a 9-inch housing that you can get with their kit. But we like our quick performance stuff. They've always been good to us, great guys over there. So we talked to Cameron over at SpeedTech, and he has sent us the brackets that they use. We don't have a jig, but we have some measurements that they sent me. There are a few more brackets we have to put on here for our torque arm. These are the ones they sent us. The beauty of a torque arm system, kind of like they're doing here, is you have 2 lower control arms, and then you have 1 rod that goes all the way forward and grabs a cross member. And what that does is it gives it a center pivot point to where you have the minimal amount of bind that you can have in a suspension. And our coilovers and our springs are what are damping and holding up the car. Vice a triangulated 4-link, which has a lot of bind. As you start to move the 4-link around, it starts to bind up. When you're building something for going racing, the less bind you have, the more predictable all of your shock and spring adjustments truly are. So this is a beautiful kit, and as you've seen with what's going on with the car and the parts that we have in a pile over here, this is going to be a true race car suspension right here. So it's starting to pour outside and we live on clay. So we're about to go get in the 4x and get out in that mud for a minute because it doesn't happen that often around here. So when we come back, we'll probably be full of mud right around here. Or if we don't wreck the wife's car or the other Jeep we rolled last time or the Scout, we'll see what happens. All right, we're back here on the Foxbody. We've done a few things since y'all have seen it last. We've got our subframe connectors in, front sway bar. Realize we can't use the rear sway bar that we have. We'll put our minds together, figure that out a little bit. We've got our wheels and tires here. We're gonna try to mount those today. We've got our Dakota digital dash. We're gonna try to put that in and wire it in today. At least get it in the hole, get our wires drawn out, start making a harness for it. We're gonna get back in here. Gabe's got a lot to do. He's gonna be working on the rear windows. He's swapping them out for the earlier 86 style, which I do like the looks of. Gabe loves the looks of.
I love it, I'm into it.
Anything we can do to get this thing running and driving so we can get into tuning it. All right, we finally got our BBS wheels in the mail. And also we got these Nexen Enfera SU1 tires. These are like a summer tire. They have 3 main grooves. They do pretty well in wet conditions. That's about as much as we experience here in California where Gabe is from. It's very much an ultra high performance street tire, which will work well for us on the track for what we're doing, but it'll also work really well when we're going on road trips or for Gabe as he's driving to work in inclement weather, which here is just a little bit of a sprinkle. But this should be a very, very good high performance tire. And these are a 275/30 ZR17. It's got a 300 tire wear on it. We got them wrapped on these gold BBS wheels right here. They made these in about 11 days and sent them to us. But they have something that's really kind of neat. We're running square tire all the way around the car. So we're running 275s, all 4 corners. But we didn't want to buy 2 different offset wheels because we want to be able to swap them front to back. Well, the car doesn't always let you depict that you run the exact offset unless you're going to change your axle width. So what BBS has done is they've come out and they made this kind of a spacer. And what it takes is these lug bolts right here. And it's got a little spacer conical for the wheel. And this bolts on. It's got different insertable hub-centric spacers that can go in there. So we have a little bit of a different one from our rear axle to our front hub up here. But this allows it to be hub-centric to the car so we know it's spinning straight. And then you bolt down your lug nuts to here. The studs are always a little bit long, but if you look at the back side of this wheel, it's recessed right here so that the studs can go into it. And this is another hub-centric spacer for the wheel to this actual spacer that we're gonna put on, which is really kind of cool. We lucked out and we can run the same backspace front and rear. Same with wheel, we can run everything, which was really cool to be able to take these tires, especially for Gabe, you know, say you start wearing out the rears because, you know, you're showing off, leaving work, laying those 11s down on the ground. You can take them, you can swap them with the front back and forth. We're not worried about buying 2 tires or just flipping them side to side. So this is gonna work out really good. Can't wait to see how these tires perform. They feel sticky to the hand.
So here's the original center console plate.
Oh, yours worked?
Mine actually worked.
Are you selling this for $500 on eBay?
1,000 is my asking price. Yeah. So usually these break and you have to use a little repair kit to get them working again. But now we have these sweet new replacement center console plates. We got to take some parts off that come with cup holders, so you don't have to pin. The old move was to pin your coffee right here between the seat and the e-brake when you're on your drive.
Yeah.
No cup holders. So
well,
now,
times have changed since the 80s.
Now you can slap one of these in.
I like this actually.
Two drink holders. These are available with or without the leather boot. You can swap over your door mirror controls. And we have ones with USB charging and a cigarette lighter port.
So they come like that?
Yep.
Oh, you didn't have to do that?
Nope.
Oh,
so
nice.
So you go from that to that.
You'd be low riding in no time. We need to get you one of them 11-inch steering wheels.
One of these ones on the chains. We
Yeah.
carry them. We got those.
You do?
Yes, we do.
No way.
We sell them. People like them.
Oh, you got the low rider crowd.
Yep. Yes, we do.
So what we got going on here is we're trying to just get it to where we can tack it, bring it down, make our measurements, make sure the nose didn't fall. Kind of doing this not the right way. We don't have a frame table here, but this kit's kind of designed to be done on jack stands in your driveway, but it is It's a little bit of an undertaking, but we're getting there. We had to slice out the body all the way back. It's kind of making a frame rail out of this back to the rear seat mount. We cut out the channel of the rear seat mount, and then we put a cross member there. That cross member holds our torque arm that runs to the back and holds the rear end in place, which is our pivot for the whole rear suspension. The pivot is sitting right here. And then we have our torque arm running back, but the brace that comes across inside the body in that rear seat mount is what these tubes, or jigged up frame rails, we'll call them, run all the way forward off of. And then that comes up here, locates the back of this K-member that we're gonna weld in. We gotta make sure that we're 1.6 degrees nose down on this actual K-member. We gotta make sure we're centered left to right, that we're sitting level. And we gotta make sure we're square inside the car. So we've dropped plumb bobs a few times. We're gonna probably drop them a few more times. We're gonna lay them on the ground. We're gonna snap chalk lines. We're gonna make some measurements. We're gonna measure in and out, make sure that this thing is centered left and right inside the car. And then we'll tack it in, but it's getting there.
All right, it's officially been debadged as a 5.0. And while we don't have 7.3 badges yet, what we do have are these beautiful Ford Performance badges that will take its place after it comes back from paint. So that should look pretty sharp. Kind of actually fills up that space nicely. Now the funny thing is, 79 to 93, you can get a 2.3 or a 5.0. There are some V6 options in there, but the 2.3 and the 5.0 were the most common engines available. And if you combine those two displacements, you get 7.3, and that's now what's resting in the car.
I think it looks great. I think it's gonna look really sharp, have a nice flat cargo area.
All right, so now I have the window frame secured in with these clips. Securing it from the backside. Now all I have to do is lay up the glass. Now I'm not putting sealer on it at the moment. This is also just kind of like a final mock-up. We might actually send it to paint like this, just so that it's closed off and it's one less thing they have to mask. If somebody wanted to convert to this style of window, most of the holes are already there. All that was really required was a little trimming around this opening. There were some mounting ears that had to be removed. And that's it. There were dimples for the sail panels. 5 out of 7 holes were already drilled, so only 2 had to be drilled. And that kind of gives you a visual of what that's gonna look like when it's all said and done. I could even close the door, give an even more completed look to it.
Stay tuned for our final episode on our Foxbody and 3rd Gen Camaro series. We'll be finishing up the Camaro and putting a fresh coat of paint on our Foxbody Mustang.
I think it's gonna look good when it's all done, because it's not gonna be everything jet black. We're gonna have like charcoal.
A little bit of charcoal in
yeah,
the
some
TMIs.
gray. We got some contrast stitching and some stripes in the seats. It's gonna look really sharp when it's all
I do
done.
like the black, as much as I was against it in the beginning.
I like a lot of contrast, and I think against the Wimbledon
I
white
just
on
really
the
like
outside.
that stock Foxbody plaid. You give me a red on a red car with plaid?
No, nobody liked that red on red.
Maybe I'm
dark.
the one that's color, what'd you call it?
Deficient, color deficient.
deficient.
Yeah, not colorblind.
That was good.